Hello fantasy faithfuls and welcome to the second episode of Making the Leap. Today I'm looking at why DJ Moore is making the leap in 2020, so let's dig in. To understand DJ Moore and why he's going to make the leap in 2020, I have created a proxy wide receiver. He's a mix of the 6 best fantasy receivers from 2019, and his target breakdown shows how the perfect fantasy receiver should look. More targets to the short left than right, and more deep right targets than left. This is what correlates the most with fantasy production. For Moore, this is perfect in the short zones. He has second most short left targets in the entire NFL, and very few targets right. Only issue is to focus on the deep left instead of deep right. The proxy receiver has above 70% catch rate in all short zones, but not above 80% anywhere. So this is not the most important stat for fantasy, except he should be above 60% in the short zones and around 50 in the deep zones. Moore is almost exactly at the same level as the proxy receiver in the short zones, just a few percent lower in the deep zones. He is great left, but struggles deep middle and right. This is my only concern, but it should be added that Kyle Allen was one of the least accurate deep throwers in the league last year. Lastly, yards per catch should be high short left, of course, high short middle, and outside the numbers deep. These are key zones to have high production in. Moore fits great in the short left, but struggles over the middle on shorter passes. Where he's great is outside the numbers deep, so when he catches the ball on deep shots, he is a home run threat. He has a really great match with the proxy receiver, but how about his usability?
That ball again complete. This time to the rookie. DJ Moore has some room. DJ Moore, touchdown Panthers.
In 2019, Moore should have been started 9 times. That is second most usable games in the league. But the problem with him has been that there's a lot of wide receiver 2 weeks. He only really had one great game, but only one really bad game, and the Panthers got stomped in that one 38-6. For context, let's look at Julian Edelman. Edelman is the perfect example of production that stays consistent. If Moore can raise his average just a tad, he can be just as fantasy relevant as Edelman has been. Especially if we take a look at his floor and ceiling in comparison to some other name brand receivers. Moore finishes his first 2 seasons with a PPR floor of 6.4 points and ceiling of 20.9. In a vacuum, this sounds pretty good, and if we look at what Kenny Golladay produced, we see that he had a floor of 5.8 and a ceiling of 21.8. And even closer was Cooper Kupp at a floor of 6.7 and a 24.6 ceiling. The issue for Moore is his ceiling has been too low compared to these guys. And lastly, let's look at Chris Godwin's number from 2018. He played great this year, but had a floor of 2.2 in 2018 and a ceiling of 17.5, worse numbers than Moore. So in this regard, he's in great company for taking the next step in his production.
59 seconds to go. Kyle Allen over the middle. That one is complete. DJ Moore in for the touchdown.
Looking deeper into DJ Moore's production, we have his touchdown rate, which is not his strong suit. He scored a touchdown on 2.9% of his targets in 2019, and this is a bit low, but room for improvement is always good to have. In the red zone, he was okay. He had 13 targets and scored 2 touchdowns and got 1 first down with a 50% catch rate inside the 10. And finally, a big chunk of the team's red zone targets at 19.7%. But don't fear, people, plenty of good receivers had similar numbers in year 2. Mike Evans had 14 targets for 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen had 12 targets and scored 2 touchdowns. Allen had 6 for 2 next year, and Evans had 17 for 7 touchdowns. And this is where I think Moore's touchdown rate will come from red zone touchdowns and not deep shots.
Football, the back of his hand. Allen steps up and goes deep. He's got a wide open target, and it is caught for the touchdown by Moore.
Lastly, we have to figure out how many targets he will see in 2020. First, the Panthers pass catchers will have roughly 500 targets to share between them for next year, depending on the quarterback, of course. With the competition on the team, Moore will see a big chunk of this. Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel are the only ones to worry about right now, and this does not scare me at all. We do have the quarterback situation left. It's a question how healthy he is, are the words of owner David Tepper regarding Cam Newton. So who is it going to be? We have the quarterbacks that are questionable on their own teams out there, like Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Derek Carr, and Marcus Mariota, and many more options. but it almost doesn't matter unless it is Mariota. All potential quarterbacks are better short left throwers and would throw more than Kyle Allen. So for Moore, the situation can only improve, and with him improving, I have him for 140 targets, and that's enough for him to break into the top 10 and make the leap. Hello Fantasy Faithful, I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to check out more of them right here and here. In case you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat.